Stranded drivers had to be pulled from trapped cars as heavy rain battered the country yesterday, leaving streets flooded. A yellow weather warning issued by the Met Office for rain yesterday warned of travel disruption and flooding in some parts. This was the case as Devon and Somerset Fire and Rescue Service made 4 separate rescues whilst flooding across Transport for Wales' network, with significant disruption also affecting trains near Wolverhampton and Warrington. This comes as Britons have been told to brace for more disruptive weather as 80 miles an hour winds are set to whip parts of the country. Forecasters at the Met Office have already issued 3 days of yellow wind warnings across Scotland and Northern Ireland on Friday, Sunday and Monday, with the latter warning extending to parts of England and Wales too. Tomorrow, residents of the Scottish Islands are advised to hunker down as strong winds and high spring tides threaten public transport, coastal roads and some power from 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. Wind speeds inland are set to range between 50 and 65 miles an hour, but in western Scotland this could soar to up to 80 miles an hour. These strong winds, the Met Office says, could again wreak havoc on public transport, and forecasters have even warned of slight chances of damage to buildings and even a danger to life. The cause of the impending winds, Met Office Deputy Chief Meteorologist Dan Holly says, is a deep low-pressure system barrelling across the Atlantic. Holly said, a low-pressure system could bring strong winds to the north and west on Friday. This, combined with high spring tides, may result in some coastal impacts, potentially continuing into the weekend on some coasts. The ongoing debate surrounding weather patterns and climate change was addressed by senior meteorologist Jim Dale, who appeared on GBNews to discuss the matter with Andrew Doyle on Free Speech Nation.
It's hard to believe here, but in the UK, apparently last month was the hottest April worldwide on record, and it continues an 11th month streak of unprecedented high temperatures. This data comes from the European Union's Climate Change Monitoring Service, who say each month since June 2023 has ranked as the planet's hottest on record. So with that in mind, my next guest wants denial of man-made climate change to be made illegal. So please welcome onto Free Speech Nation senior meteorologist Jim Dale. Jim, welcome to the show. Now,
Thank you.
A lot of people are going to be surprised by this proposal. Do you want to just clarify exactly what you mean by that?
Yeah, it's time. And by the way, we're sitting here in about 50 degrees in here, which is why you're suffering slightly.
That's an aircon issue.
Yeah, I know it is. We could say it's climate change in here. No, the reason I'm pushing this is because it's now time. We're seeing day after day, and I see this looking at the data going around. Just to give you an example in terms of the heat that's around the globe at this moment in time, 51.1 degrees was attained in Mexico, a place in Mexico, their highest ever May temperature. If you look at these continents, and you've just mentioned, you know, what's been happening for the last year and so, and it's been going on for much more than that, it's just accelerating beyond belief.
Yes, so I understand that that's your point of view on this, and that you...
It's fact.
Yeah.
It's not a point of view,
well,
it's fact.
But my point here, or my concern, I think a lot of people's concern would be the idea of criminalising an opinion, which is what you seem to be alluding to. Is that really what you mean?
I want to say, first of all, it should be banned on MSM, and I'll tell you why.
By that you mean mainstream media?
Yeah, I do, mainstream media. The reason is first of all, denial is factually wrong. Secondly, it pollutes the political discourse. It puts certain politicians in certain spins. They don't necessarily know about the climatology or the meteorology that's involved, and therefore they go off on a tangent or sit on a fence like Sunak, and we end up going nowhere fast, potentially. And it's just a case that we have to act. If you looked at the news this week, there was 2 elderly ladies who 80-odd years old, and they went to the Magna Carta, where they host the Magna Carta, and they broke the glass. Now, ask yourself this question. Are they doing it for themselves? What do they know that you don't? What do they know? What are they trying to protect, themselves, or are they trying to protect the generations that are going to come? And that is what the focus should be. I don't think that's
the point, because I think what you're suggesting is that being wrong... let's say that those who disagree with you are wrong, flat out wrong. Even if that is the case, why should it be illegal to say something that is
well,
wrong?
that's got to go through litigation. That's got to go through a lot of discussion. I'm
asking you on principle.
Yeah, I think on principle we got to the end of that particular tale, if you like.
But there are still scientists who disagree with your point of view.
No, look, there are paid scientists who do it because they're paid by the fossil fuel industry. Make that absolutely clear. You're either a paid scientist like that, and there's only a few of them. You're a politician who's just going for the glory. Richard Tice should have been here last week with me. After the elections, he didn't make it. I wonder why.
But there are scientists, Jim, who disagree with you, who are not being paid off by fossil fuel companies.
They're in the absolute minority. Absolute minority. And then you've got, I say you've got people who just follow the band, follow the politician.
But again,
you've got to think for yourself, have a look around.
But Jim, this is a free speech issue. I mean, you're already suggesting that even if it were the case that a minority view was held by a minority of experts, that they should be criminalised for expressing that view. Didn't we have this with the Great Barrington Declaration? Didn't we have this problem there, where they were demonised and had their videos deleted off YouTube?
It's not that simple. I didn't use a word, and I should have used it, which is dangerous. Where we're at the moment, denial is dangerous because we're going and heading in the wrong direction. Listen to, if this was Sir David Attenborough sitting here instead of me, okay, you probably most people would listen to him and agree with him because he's the way that he approaches things. He's quite calm, quite
Isn't the solution, Jim, to misinformation more discussion, better information, rather than shutting people down? We know from the history of censorship that when you shut down certain people and silence them, it lends a kind of credence to their view.
It's the denial, not the deniers. The deniers can walk into this room anytime they like, and they can have a discussion about how we move forward with climate change, what we've got to do, how fast we've got to move, what are the best ways. So I'm not saying that for 1 second. I'm talking about purely the denial of climate change as it is, because it is a massive, massive red herring. And you only have to open your eyes and see what is going on. And I'll tell you something. What's going to happen? I know even myself sometimes, you go through the day and you don't think, oh, you're doing the wrong thing. What it's going to take is catastrophe. That's what it's going to take before you open your eyes. That's why I'm saying that it's dangerous. That's why I'm saying denial. We've gone too far. I come into this place sometimes and other places, and I talk about these denialists, and I'm thinking, you're not following any science
Jim,
whatsoever.
What if you're wrong?
I'm not wrong.
Well, yeah, but that's okay.
As simple as that.
But the Inquisition said to Galileo, they're not wrong. They said that he was definitely wrong to support the Copernican theory of the Earth moving around the sun. They put him under house arrest. Do you think we should go back in time and
we can go back in? I will equate deniers to the Flat Earth Society. That's what I would do. That's where we are.
What would be the harm of having a member of the Flat Earth Society on saying that the Earth is flat?
Because we're not going to lose people. Economic vitality. We're not going to lose any of that by talking about that. We are if we don't get on top of, and by the way, lead our way in terms of green energy, renewables. There's a race going on in this world.
Can you give me an example in history where anyone was persuaded by being told to shut up? Wouldn't the argument be stronger?
I can give you one.
Go on.
Racism. Okay, so that's now illegal. You can't come in here and be racist. You can't be on the street and be racist, overtly racist. This is a similar.
Has racism been eradicated, or has it been driven underground and pushed into the dark corners of the internet where it can fester?
It may well have, and that's because of the internet and that's because of social media.
Which proves that sunlight is the best disinfectant.
But you don't necessarily, the banning of things. If it goes away from the mainstream, more people then start to appreciate exactly what's going on.
Jim, can I just give you a quote here from John Stuart Mill, who wrote a book called On Liberty in the mid-19th century? He said, if all mankind minus one were of one opinion and only one person were of the contrary opinion, mankind would be no more justified in silencing that one person than he, if he had the power, would be justified in silencing mankind. Good point, isn't it?
You can continue to have your denial to yourself, to your family, in the front room. Nobody's going to bash the door down and arrest you. I'm talking about in the public domain.
Okay, well, let's give a specific example. So we saw during the COVID crisis various, even scientific journals, medical journals, saying that the idea that it could have leaked from a lab in Wuhan was a racist conspiracy theory and must not be... It was settled, they said. It must not be said. And various people had their accounts deleted online, various prominent epidemiologists. That turned out probably to be a correct theory. Mm-hmm. So if we apply your law about this, which is to silence anyone who dissents, we'll just be repeating the same mistake, won't we?
No, I don't think we are. I think the data, the science is now at a point where it is completely solid.
The
We can
people who
see
said
it going
there was a
on.
racist conspiracy theory said exactly the same that you're saying now.
Well, yeah, but this is my domain. I can't really comment on that
okay,
domain.
but could you not concede the principle that you could be wrong? Could you not just concede it?
I look at data, I see what's going on. You guys in the audience, you're going to see this, okay? You're going to see it coming. You've already, you know, as we speak, there are places that, for example, India, we've got school children, millions and millions who can't go to school because you've got 45, 50 degrees, 51.1 in Mexico. All right, you just watch the USA this year coming, okay? It's like we're walking in. It's like we're walking in a dream or something, eyes wide shut. You've got to think about what the consequences are, because the consequences are dire, and it's not me that's saying that.
No, fine, but that's you making an argument, and
Yeah.
you can cite data and scientific studies to support your argument. That's because of free speech. So somebody who has a contrary view, surely, in a free society, should be able to represent their view to you.
They can do it privately. That's absolutely fine. But what's happening is that the deniers are polluting the environment virtually. That's exactly what's going on. They're lying effectively. That's what you're actually seeing in front of your eyes.
People
and if you listen to, so my job is to stop the lies.
And
that's why
my argument would be that the best way to do that, you know, I'm not taking a view either way on the subject. I'm saying, on principle, when it comes to free speech, the best approach is not to shut down your opponents, but to argue more impressively than them, to persuade people. I
try to do that a lot with many politicians and other people who deny. It ends
so
normally.
It
tell you what it ends up. It ends up as a shouting match half the time, because they don't take in the data, they don't take in what you're saying, the factual information. As I say, if I was David Attenborough, it might be a different sort of listening audience, if you like. In other words, they would take it differently. But I'm passionate about this. I've worked in this for 40 years. I'm seeing what's going on out there, and people have to not be polluted by what is essentially misinformation and lies.
Isn't the principle bigger than your particular subject, though? The principle is, if we start saying on this one particular subject we must shut down dissent, doesn't that set a precedent that every authoritarian in history has exploited?
Well, if it goes to litigation, if it goes to that stage, it's got to go through the House of Commons, where there will be a huge discussion, a debate. It won't be me that's in there, it'll be them, because they make the rules. So be careful who you vote for at the next election. It's as simple as that.
So what sort of punishment would you like for people who deny man-made?
Oh, that's the question, isn't it? I haven't got that far yet. We're going too
I'm sure
far.
you'll get to set the rules, Jim.
Yeah, no, I won't get to set the rules. Somebody who's in office, Keir Starmer or whoever, they will set the rules at the end of the day. But I tell you, it's by steps. It's not overnight. It's not something that, tomorrow you're going to get arrested if you say this. It's a case of step by step.
It's tyranny by stealth, I understand.
I don't think so. I think it's common sense.
Sounds a lot like
common sense,
yeah,
Andrew.
I'm sure every tyrant in history has said a very similar thing. Jim Dale, thanks ever so much for joining.
You're welcome.